cutting expenses can be a good idea, but there is a smart way to do this and an aligned way to do this to make sure that you are not approaching these choices from scarcity and lack, which long term lead to problems. And that's what we're going to dive into today. So you can avoid all the problems, the frustration, and save money in a smart way. So let's get to it. Welcome back to the Your Money, Your Life podcast. I'm your host, Aimee Cerka. Today we are talking about cutting expenses and ways to save money, but doing it in a smart, aligned way, not from a space of scarcity and just pinching pennies and cutting back, because that does not serve you long term. All right, so let's get to it. And of course, I've got a story example to give you here. So if you're a client, customer, you have one of my programs, when this is going live, January 2025, we just finished migrating everybody's course access into the new platform. And I'm going to use my course hosting platform as the example. So for years, I've used Kajabi, and Kajabi is very popular all-in-one platform. I love them for a lot of different reasons. There's a lot of things that works really, really well within the platform, okay? There was a couple things that I had figured out, like a workaround, that didn't really quite work. So we had a limited number of what they call products. So actual like courses that showed up in your main course library. And, I had the workaround. We had bought the password protected pages. So I had built the training vault was what we called it, for if you had one of these programs, you knew like a lot of the smaller programs lived inside the training vault. So there was a little bit of like an extra step for you to be able to access your program. Sometimes people were a little confused because they bought this item, they got their password, but then like they couldn't find it in the library. So it was a little bit extra headache, like on our end for customer service. And it wasn't as great of a user experience on your end as the client customer. But other than that, like I really enjoyed it, but we paid $200 a month for Kajabi. It's one of the biggest operating expenses that we had at the time in the business, right? And I knew when I'm looking at my ability, Prosperity Simplified System, my ability to keep more profit, right? I knew that was the operating expense, like the biggest operating expense that we had to cut. Look at different options. And there is a popular option out there. It's a one-time purchase, one-time price point product. It's called ThriveCart. You are in the industry, you've probably heard of ThriveCart, okay? And people either love it or hate it, which, there's a lot of things right there, like that out there, right? Either love it or hate it. One-time price point, I wouldn't have the ongoing monthly fees, all of those things, right? And I looked at it many times. I have multiple coaches use ThriveCart, love it, even like have bonuses thrown in if you buy through their affiliate program. So I was going to have everything set up the way it needed to be if I bought ThriveCart. And from a let's cut expenses perspective, it was a no-brainer, right? One-time $500 payment versus $200 a month, like that was going to pay for itself so fast, right? Like it was going to be a no-brainer switch. But it didn't feel right. I was not at peace about it. I knew that it wasn't the right decision for me. So I was not buying it. But what I did was I set the intention that the course hosting platform was the expense that I was looking to find a lower cost, better solution. It wasn't just about just cutting the cost. I wanted to find a better solution, something that was going to work better for myself and for my customers at a lower price point. Just set that intention out there. I don't know that I wrote it down. I talked to several different people about the ThriveCart, asking different experiences, but just kind of put the intention out there, right? And tucked it away, didn't think anything more about it. I wasn't like stressing, obsessing over it, Googling 50 million things all the time. I had just set that intention, okay? And within a couple weeks, I don't even think it was a month, a couple weeks, the theme that I use for my WordPress site is called Optimized Press. And they sent an email that was about updates that they had released for their, what they call their mentor level. It's actually not what they call the level, but whatever. The higher tier level about their mentor plugin, which is the one that they use for memberships and course hosting. Totally had forgotten that was something that they did. So when I started pulling it up, looking like, hey, okay, maybe this is a viable solution. What does this look like? Can we do this? What type of program will we be able to customize? Does it have a limit on how many people we have? Does it limit on how many products? What's the user experience going to be like, etc., right? Looking into it. With what I was already paying for the theme, the difference that I needed to upgrade was $100 a year. So we were paying $200 a month versus an extra $100 a year. But not only that was there the cost savings, I was able to build the library and have the function the way that I wanted the library, the user experience that I wanted you to be able to have, that everything was there, that we were able to have sections within the library now that you can jump right to, whether it's a course that you bought or a workshop or one of the smaller tools or templates, or you've got one of the signature programs. All of that was customizable, built in. Plus, now we only have the one website that we're sending people to, the one login page, right? It was all done there. So we're saving $2,300 a year, and it's a better user experience. And that was a no-brainer. But it was because we set the intention that we were looking for it. So being open, the first thing that you have to do if you're looking or wanting, and really we should always do this, right? We should always be open to the idea that we can cut expenses. I was having a conversation a couple months back about my car insurance. And if you don't know, my background is in insurance. I worked for State Farm for years. And there's a lot of loyalty there to State Farm because I worked there for so long. And I know there was part of me that was like, I can't switch that because I wouldn't look at anything else because of the loyalty there. But taking that step and bringing the open, like being open to another solution is like the first step there. So if it's something that you were really sold on, you really love, you're really passionate about, I'm a huge proponent of being loyal to people, but within reason, right? Like as long as there's a give and take there a little bit, but having loyalty, yes, is an important thing. But it's also like you have to take care of you, and you have to do that in alignment. You have to do it with integrity, and you have to prioritize yourself. You cannot let your loyalty to other people be costing you a significant amount of money. Like if you're still in somebody's coaching program because they're a friend, like, are you really helping them out? Reevaluate that. Okay, so first thing I want you to do, if you have an expense that you are looking to lower, that you know that you want to lower, set the intention out there that you want to find a better solution at a lower price. Again, when we do it from that perspective that we're looking for something that's going to work better or at least the same, like something like your electricity bill, here in Texas, I use one of those, I don't know what they're called, but like shops the rates. It would be like a broker for your car insurance. But it gives you different options. Like I don't necessarily need to have a loyalty to a specific electric company, right? Like customer service, yes, is important. And I'm going to use my purchasing power to buy from brands that I align with and believe in. But again, hopefully that makes sense. Being open to the possibility. If it's something that you don't feel like there's any possibility that it could be lower, just ask yourself, like, what if? Or sit with it for a little bit. Like, okay, this would be something that would save us so much money if we could switch this, if we could change this, if we could change this expense, it would be so much better off. Let me think about what that would look like. Let me see if I can become open to the possibility. But learning to trust yourself and not just making these purchases from I need to cut everything. I need to cut expenses. I know a lot of people do this even with food. Like we're trying to cut our food budget. So we go and eat crap food. Well, then your health is compromised. And then you're spending more money on your health, so you're not really saving anything. Okay. Intentional, smart choices. We can do this with gas. So like I have the Walmart Plus subscription and it pays for itself alone with the gas savings. And then I'm able to have an added benefit. But there's so many programs out there that'll help you save, and being intentional about it. Whether I know Gas Buddy is one of them. I saw a billboard earlier today that was talking about QT Pay, and they had 25 cents off, like when you're using the QT Pay. So there's different solutions out there for different things. We just have to be open to it and looking. So we're not obsessing over it, but by setting the intention like, hey, I'm open to that, and then going about your life, you'll be amazed how things show up. There's like an energetic proponent to this, and then there's also like a mindset scientific portion of this. You know how before you buy a vehicle, like you're like, I've never seen that, and then you go and buy a mustard yellow vehicle and all of a sudden you see them everywhere, right? They were there before, you just weren't your brain wasn't picking it up because we take in so many things, we don't always process what we're actually seeing. But when you buy the mustard yellow car or whatever it might be, all of a sudden you start seeing it show up everywhere. Okay, that's it, I think, for today. If you've migrated, you have a course, program, something for me, and you are checking out the new library, I would love to hear how the user experience has been. I know I had a couple tech glitches with the migration portion, but I think, fingers crossed, we've worked all of that out. So I'd love to hear from you how it's been as a user perspective, and then let's talk about what you want to save money on. Maybe I've got a resource for you for something that you are looking to, hey, I've got this expense, I'd love to cut that. Do you have any ideas? Type question. Send me a message on Instagram. Let's talk about it. That's it for now. We'll see you next time. Are you tired of not seeing consistent cash flow? What if you could stop wasting countless hours working on the wrong things only to leave yourself more frustrated than you started? All without jumping from strategy to strategy just to try to find one that works, and without requiring a week of reflection or a time audit because you don't have time to do the things that you need to as it is. My cash flow calculator might be perfect for you. This assessment style calculator reveals your blind spots and what you're missing so that you can finally see consistent cash flow month after month. So grab my cash flow calculator absolutely free and unlock the right work that you're probably already doing in order to finally see consistent cash flow month after month. It's only going to take 90 seconds and you don't need to know any of your numbers to actually do this. Then, as a bonus, there's a special way you can get me to give you feedback on your results. Simply go to aimeecerka.com/cashflow to access, and of course, that link is hanging out in the description for you.